Wait for everyone to tune in. Welcome, everyone. Wait for a few people to tune in. Comment your thoughts. Let me know what you thought of that. That was sensational. More people are tuning in. Welcome, everyone. Let's just bring the positivity. Just comment what you reckon. That was great. Welcome, everyone. I'm good, Stuart. I'm very good, actually, after that performance. When you think about it, there's not really a better team that you want to beat than the Dogs when you look at that. That was just, as good as it gets, really, in terms of executing a game plan, in terms of our recruits, just coming to the party, particularly a special mention. Mark's just mentioned that Zach Jones, absolutely sensational in this game. 29 disposals, definitely best on ground in probably everyone's eyes. Hunter Clark, Marcus flags in the comments there, just sensational. Jack Billings, I think he was the number one ranked player in the ground, 470 metres gained. He's kicked three goals. I think he's had 24, 25 disposals. And yet, players like Jack Billings, he just kind of got the job done. He wasn't the standout. And if Jack Billings can just have a normal game and it's 24 disposals and 3 goals, we're very happy. I mean, if you look at it, apart from, we started well. Max King kicked a sensational goal and he showed so much today as well. So we'll get into that with so many near marks that he got. But then kicking that goal at the end, I'm sure we were all very happy to see how happy he was to get the reward, kicking 2 goals on top of his 2 goals from round 1 as well. But apart from that middle patch in that first quarter where the Dogs seemed to just get a lot of uncontested ball, a lot of easy marks into the 50, we absolutely dominated. It was just, a complete performance. And I can't be happier with waiting. I think it's been around 84 days since our round 1 loss to North. And to be fair, guys, you look at North and how they played against GWS today, maybe that makes our round 1 loss look a bit better. But fuck round 1. We're on to round 2. We've beaten the Dogs by 39 points. So impressed with the team. Darty there mentioned Skunk. Membry, he kicks 1 goal and he's relatively quiet, yet we kick 14 goals. I think we kicked 14 goals for the day. 14 goals for. And that is what happens when you kick straight. When you kick straight, you hurt the opposition, and we saw what happened in the first quarter against in this game, particularly the Bulldogs. They had 5 or 6 easy chances, didn't take them, and we go down the other end and finish it off. And to look at players like Jack Billings having 24, Zach Jones having 29, Seb Ross having 24, Jack Steele having 22 and laying 4 tackles. Gresham in the midfield looked phenomenal. I thought Paddy Ryder and Marshall in the ruck up against the Bulldogs ruckman English took him to the cleaners, absolutely killed him. I think we won the hitouts 40-11 or something like that. We won clearances comfortably. Our rebound 50s were sensational. I thought Dougal Howard particularly was great on Josh Bruce, and geez, we don't want to say anything bad about Josh Bruce, but seeing him miss a few of those easy chances and then see us go up the other end and Dan Butler have a phenomenal game, particularly that third quarter and that second quarter where he kicked 2 or 3 goals. And a lot of our goals were just running in waves, but we weren't running aimlessly. When we turned it over and the Bulldogs got it, we still were able to run back. So our work rate matched our intensity to go forward, and that's something that we've lacked. A lot of good teams, Brett Ratton's Carlton 10 years ago when he was coaching them, they had that issue of they were too attacking and it was easy for other teams to get over the back and get easy goals. But for us today, with Wilkie, Dougal Howard, I thought Jake Carlisle had an easy return and he didn't do anything amazing, but he did enough. I thought Caulfield was solid without being amazing. I thought Ben Long, Hunter Clark off halfback, Geary threw his body on the line. Everyone played their position perfectly. And if I, go to the stats and I look at the very bottom, Geary was our lowest with 8. Our captain was our lowest, but everyone else had a great game. And it's going to be very hard to see who we bring in next week when you've got players like Sinclair and Battle out of the team. and then you've got to drop someone when you're playing Collingwood at the G. And to be fair, guys, I don't want to go too crazy talking about our chances in that game, but Collingwood at the MCG with a wide ground, with a big ground, and the way we were playing, and the execution of our ball use, that's something that has been, left... hasn't really worked for us previously. So to see us have an efficiency of I think it was over 76% for most of that game is outrageous. And converting a lot of our inside 50s, I thought Marshall resting forward was phenomenal. I thought Paddy Ryder in the ruck. I'm trying to go around all of these players. But, we kept Johannesson very quiet. We negated the Bulldogs' rebound. And, they knew what was coming to them. They knew we were going to be a pressure team, but I don't think they expected us to be so clinical on the outside, and that's something that took me by surprise. We were, at times it was a training drill. At times it was just from one end to the other. The amount of end-to-end goals we kicked was, something that I haven't seen a St Kilda team do in a long time. So to see us win by 39 points, and to be fair, it could have been more. It could have been more, but when we've had that long off, and to see these new players gel so well, we forget that some of these players, it's their first or second games playing together. Max King, it's only his second game. It's only Max King's second game. He looks like a veteran. He looks like a player that is ready to destroy a team, and that's what they were saying. He had so many near clunks. He'd get hands onto it and then just not hold it, or a player would come in or whatnot. There's going to be a game, guys, where he takes 5 or 6 contested marks, he kicks 4 or 5 goals, and that's the announcement game. That's the game where we're like, yeah, Max King is a superstar, of the competition, or a future superstar. So, there's too many positives. I'm trying to look at the team list here. Nick Hind was good. Ben Patton was very good. I think he had 16 disposals to his name. Tim Membry quite quiet. Dan Hanbury, 20 disposals. To see Dan Hanbury confident with his body and his field kick in to open up the play, to kick that goal in that second term or that third term was great. Jade Gresham, 25 disposals and looked classy. The only thing lacking on his game was his finishing with that average set shot. But, when he's doing so much in the middle of the ground and opening up the game and giving us that X factor, that A-grade dynamic sort of midfield play that we haven't had, it's a really special thing. And, everyone, you'd have to say, would be pretty much an A or a B plus if you had to rate them. And the key standouts for me, if I had to pick, Zach Jones, absolutely everywhere. He's had his critics, and he's had people say, he gets a lot of the ball, they know that, and he doesn't use it very well. Well, today, he used it by hand a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he had more handballs than kicks. He did. He had 15 handballs, 14 kicks, 219 metres gained, but he was a connector. When he got the ball, he handballed it, but he didn't just leave it. He kept running, he kept creating an option. And I think someone just mentioned there Brad Hill. I haven't even really mentioned him. So, going in the off-season, we get Brad Hill from Fremantle. He's the big draw. He's the big star that everyone talks about. In this game, he was good, but he wasn't outstanding. He did some classy things, but the fact that we got through a game where Tim Membry kicked 1 goal, Brad Hill finished with, what did he finish with in the end? 19 disposals, and only, 222 metres gained. To see some of these big name players have quiet games and we still kick nearly 90 odd points in a shortened quarters, remember, guys. Imagine if this was a full length game. We would have kicked over 16 to 18 goals easily, and we've done it in, 15, 16 minute quarters. To kick 14 goals, 4 to kick straight, amazing. But there's still so much improvement. There's, Hunter Clark. That passage of play from Hunter Clark, where he got the ball, I think it was in the second quarter or late in the first, where he kicked it to the middle, chipped on his left foot to Jack Steele. He created something out of absolutely nothing, and that's something that you can't teach. That's just football IQ, and I'm just bloody happy. It's great. It's a great end to a weekend, and now we've got Collingwood. But before we get onto that, and we focus on Collingwood, let's enjoy this for the week. Let's go through some of these comments. There have been an absolute shit ton of comments. So I don't know how I'm going to go through this, but I'm just going to pick some of the ones that stand out to me. Caroline says, love Dan Butler's game. I think everyone loved Butler's game. Damo says Wilkie is a freak down back. He is, He doesn't look like the fastest player, but he always seems to find the right spot, doesn't he? He always seems to get in front or just to nudge his player. He doesn't give away too many free kicks. So to have a defender that is so calm and composed, and only his second season after, having played every game last season is phenomenal. Ryan says, with nearly half the team new compared to last year, the teamwork was incredible. Great point there, Ryan. Roger says, Hill stats, he played soft. Someone reckons Brad Hill played soft. He's an outside player, so I can give him that. Jack Steele and those sort of guys, they're the ones who can do the grunt. But when you look at the players that we had out, we omitted Dylan Roberton, guys. Does he play next week? Dylan Roberton, we were so excited to have him back. And he's already a player that we've pretty much forgotten about after today. Dunstan, omitted. Dean Kent, omitted. Some of these players that, were regulars or we expected to be regulars. You look at the way our foot skills were today, and you can see the vision of Brett Ratton. He wants players that can use the ball. And although Ben Patton isn't a household name yet, he used the ball well today. And Caulfield used the ball well. There's a few, darting kicks into the middle of the ground. Dangerous kicks from Caulfield that opened up the game. And he didn't have a major game in terms of any sort of disposals. I think he only finished 12 or 14. But the disposals he had actually did something, as opposed to someone like, no offense to a Dunstan, he might have 29, but he'll have him at 50% efficiency and not really escalate the game in any sort of way. So I think Brett Ratton wants someone, he wants us to be effective but not overuse the ball. And I thought, perfect example is the Bulldogs. A lot of handballs, a lot of overuse of the ball. We were more direct. We any team that handballs against us, I think they're going to be in danger. And I think Collingwood loves handballs, but they're also a very good pressure team. So for us, it's going to be to match the pressure we had today against Collingwood, because it's going to be a very big test for us. Radley says, you didn't believe me in the preview when I said Dan Butler was the one who 100% needed to be in the team this week. Yeah, I know a lot of people that were very, on the edge about Dan Butler, but to see him come together today and have a game like today where he roved off the pack perfectly, like he read the play, you can see why he was a premiership player at Richmond, and that's the sort of players that Richmond developed. They've got plenty of them. Lucky they do, because that means that they can afford to let go of players like Dan Butler to come to teams like St Kilda. Danny says Geary was good. It's not all about possessions. It's the possessions he stopped his opponent from getting us what matters. That's a great comment, Danny. He's the negator. He's not the player. He's not the accumulator. He's the guy that just needs to stop his opponent and do his pretty much, that cliched. He plays his role for the team. He's the captain. He does that better than anyone, and that's why he is his captain and plays every week. Jason says Jones and Butler were stars. A lot of talk of Zach Jones and Dan Butler in the comments. It's hard to pick anyone else. Bevan says, if we can knock Collingwood off at the MCG, lock us in for top 6 finish. We need to beat the Pies, says Shane. I agree. I think, you look at next week and you look at us playing Collingwood. We matched it with them for 3 quarters last season, then fell away. If we don't match them at least, in pressure and create a match next week, this week will feel like it was kind of a one-off, and we don't want it to be. We want this to be the start of something. So we need to go next week, and we need to give it to them. And to be fair, when you look at Thursday night, although, they did play Richmond, they played a very good pressure team. They only kicked 5 goals. Richmond only kicked 5 goals. It was a draw. It was a tough game. They weren't very exciting. So I think if they look at today, and I think if Nathan Buckley was watching us today on a fast deck with space, he's going to be thinking, it's not going to be an easy game. They're going to be worried. And I'm glad that, that we're doing something that can worry a really good team. Because that's been a while since we've been able to do that. Jones and Butler, Ryder's tap-outs were insane. They were. The amount of just down the throat, And in the preview, to be fair, I said that I wanted Paddy Ryder to play more forward, to let Marshall do the bulk. But having Ryder today and Marshall rotate and, exploit Tim English. No offense to Tim English, he's a young, exciting, up-and-coming ruckman, but when you've got Ryder, who's experienced and done it for, 10 years, and then you've got Marshall, who's, everyone thinks is going to be the next big ruckman in the competition, when you've got them to face and no support, any team that has one ruckman that isn't really, experienced yet, they're going to be in for a tough one. So I think next week when you've got someone like Brodie Grundy, you've got Paddy Ryder Marshall v Brodie Grundy, it's going to be a big part of why we can beat Collingwood is the fact that we can rotate, hopefully, to overwork Grundy and get him. No injuries, I believe. I didn't see any. I thought there were a couple of knocks. Dan Hanbury got one. This is Shane asking. Other than that, I didn't see any major problems. JB gets best on ground, says Meg. I'd be happy with that. I honestly think the team gets best on ground. That's how good we were. Bevan says Jack Billings loves to tear it up against the Dogs. I personally think he just loves coming up against Bont and Pally because everyone said, we picked Billings over Bont, and I think Billings was pick 4, Bont pick 3. Billings just lived up to it, and it was just a mature performance from Billings. He didn't do anything outrageous. He just worked hard. He got in there. His kicking was great, and he kicked straight. He kicked 3 straight. So that's exactly what we want from Jack Billings. Jeff says, how many times did Paddy Ryder put it down Gresham's throat? Probably over 10. Peter says, we can kill the Woods next week. Would love to see Marshall taking more of the ruck over Ryder, though. Accurate kicking was a highlight. Christina says they played well together. Butler's follow-up work didn't stop, says Cameron. That's exactly right, and I think that was the case with a lot of the team. We just kept pushing, and there was so many times where just the Bulldogs just didn't know what to do, and they're actually a very good team at getting out of danger with their hands, but every time they got a handball away, there was already, you could see in the distance, a Saints player coming in and blocking the player that was about to get the ball. It's like we did our homework on the Bulldogs, and we executed it perfectly. Alan says, do you think Western Bulldogs might have hurt themselves near as much as the Saints did? They wasted possession and missed easy shots. They did, but they were inconsistent in their efforts, and we pretty much from the halfway point of this first quarter to the end of the game, our pressure and our attitude to the game didn't change. It was just this, and then it went up, and we just kept going. The Bulldogs were kind of ebbing and flowing, so if we can maintain that in future games and a team just drops off for 10, 20 minutes, or just even a quarter, and we were able to do what we did today and get a run on and actually kick straight, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be able to negate us. They're going to have to play full games to beat us, which is great, because usually in seasons gone by, guys, and you guys know this better than anyone, we try really hard, but then we drop off for 10 minutes and a team takes over. Hopefully now that is the opposite, where we just cruise, a team drops off, and then we put the foot down and we go from there. So hopefully it's a changing of the guard. Damus says, only changes from the team next week should be due to fitness or soreness. Agree with that. I don't think anyone deserves to be dropped after today. Josh Bruce, who, says Lauren. Battle in for Hind next week if the sizes match up okay. I personally think that Hind at the MCG would be a big benefit. Big ground, a lot of space for him to run into. And, his speed will worry Collingwood. So I don't think we need another tall with Battle. But, geez, it's a very tough problem to have for Radden. So I would hate to be in match committee this week, because it's going to be really hard to have that conversation where, after such a good win, you're going to have to drop someone. But I can't see that happening, honestly. It has to be just tactical, and I think that's something Rats has said, that, he's willing to make changes just for the opponent, so even if, Battle's available, but he's not really suitable for Collingwood, then you don't play him. So many comments, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Anyone know anything about Jack Bytel? I'm not sure. I doubt he's going to play next week, but, he just has to keep training hard, and that's it. But yeah, I might leave it there, guys. Stuff watching me. Go watch the replay. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. So many comments, so many happy comments, and so there should be. It was such a good performance. Stay tuned. Quick plug again. Saints TV podcast Tuesday night. Me, Marshy, and Joycey. We will be dissecting this game in great detail. No doubt we will be frothing over Zach Jones and talking about him for the good 50-minute podcast. So stay tuned for Wednesday. That will be coming out. This will also be on Facebook and YouTube and everything. So if you've missed it, feel free to keep watching it and comment, and I'll respond when I can. But yeah, what a start. You know, let's forget round one. This is the start. This is the Saints that we want, and we got them. And everyone that went to the Dramana Drive-In, it looked amazing, and everyone would have been beeping their horns, so happy. So great initiative by the club to organise that. And it's just great to get to, to be 6th on the ladder, guys. We're 6th on the ladder, good percentage now. North Melbourne beat GWS today, so round one loss looks a bit better, but onwards and upwards. We've got the Pies next week, and what better form to go into a big game, against a big opposition at the MCG than today. We've got that confidence back, that chemistry, that rhythm, going unchanged, and let's take it to Collingwood next week. But until then, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like this video, share it to Saints fans, tag them, keep commenting, and just keep the positivity going. It's a bloody good end to the weekend. Anyway, take care, guys. Have a great week, and I will see you very soon. Go you Saints.